This news update discusses ongoing insecurity in Nigeria and Biafra, focusing on banditry and terrorism in the forests. A retired brigadier general has exposed the hidden faces of terrorists in Nigeria and in Biafra land, highlighting how state and federal governments of Nigeria failed to take decisive action against these threats. The general claims his efforts to curb insecurity were hindered by lack of cooperation from state and federal authorities in Nigeria. He reveals that bandits and insurgents have taken over large parts of Nigerian forests, especially in the north and southeast, posing a serious security threat. He stresses that the police alone cannot handle the security crisis, and military intervention is necessary. He argues that regional security outfits need automatic weapons to combat armed bandits effectively. According to him, political leaders allegedly interfere with security operations, preventing effective strategies from being implemented. He criticizes the Nigerian government for ignoring valuable research on security challenges in Africa. The discussion touches on economic hardship, unemployment, and food scarcity, contributing to insecurity. Now, let's get into today's story, and trust me, it's one that has been building up for a while, and it's about time someone speaks up. Recently, we've seen increasing reports of insecurity in Nigeria, and more specifically, in Biafra land. What's shocking is how these threats are growing, especially in the forests, where a number of bandits and terrorists have found refuge. It's something that for far too long has been hidden from the general public. One of the most significant voices speaking out about this situation is a retired brigadier general. He's seen it all. He served in various military capacities and is deeply knowledgeable about the threats facing Nigeria. He recently came forward with some alarming information about the hidden faces of terrorists operating within the country. His message was clear. The Nigerian government, both at the state and federal levels, is failing to take decisive action against the growing insecurity that is threatening the country's peace and stability. According to the retired general, this insecurity has been perpetuated in part because of the lack of cooperation from both the state and federal authorities. He's openly criticized how difficult it has been for security operations to take off because of political interference. And it's not just a few isolated cases, it's happening everywhere, from the forests of the north to the southeast of the country, where the situation has escalated significantly. The forests have become havens for bandits and insurgents, who are now a serious threat to Nigeria's security. The general's concerns are not just about the immediate dangers, but the systemic issues contributing to this crisis. He argued that it's not enough to rely on the police to handle what's essentially a military problem. Police forces alone cannot cope with the level of organized terror and banditry happening in the forests. The military needs to step in, but even the military faces its own challenges. For one, the regional security outfits, such as Amotekun in the southwest, need better tools, like automatic weapons, to deal with the heavily armed bandits. As he shared his personal experiences, the general went on to explain how he attempted to address these issues while serving within Amotekun. He revealed that despite his efforts to create strategies to tackle these criminals head-on, he was met with major obstacles, chiefly a lack of support from local governments. In one instance, he was unable to get the military's non-commissioned officers, or NCOs, into key positions, even though they were needed to coordinate local security operations. The general believes that had these NCOs been deployed to the local government areas, the response to the insecurity could have been more effective. But unfortunately, the political will just wasn't there. Now, while the general shared his frustrations, he did not hold back on the most crucial point. The growing threat from the terrorists in Nigeria is not just a local issue, it's a national problem, and it's spreading. The insurgents and bandits are not restricted to the north. They have infiltrated the southeast, where Biafra land is located, and their presence in the forests is something that cannot be ignored anymore. For many of us, it might be hard to fully grasp just how deep the problem goes, but the general's words paint a vivid picture of the terror these groups are causing. The bandits and insurgents aren't just robbing and kidnapping for ransom. Their presence in the forests has come to symbolize a much larger threat to the nation's sovereignty. According to the general, these criminals are essentially claiming the forests as their own, and they've even gone as far as to say that Allah has given them the land of Nigeria as their inheritance. It's a chilling statement, and the idea that these people believe they have divine permission to take control of vast areas of land raises serious concerns about the future of Nigeria. And if you think that the authorities in Nigeria are unaware of this, think again. The general explained that the governor of Oyo State had already raised alarms about the situation, noting that bandits were only a few kilometers away from his base. But even with that knowledge, the response has been slow, and in many cases there has been no response at all. The bandits and terrorists continue to roam free, unchecked. As the conversation continued, the general, who has been deeply involved in the security field for many years, shared his thoughts on what could have been done differently. He stressed that the Nigerian military is capable of handling these threats, but can only do so effectively with the right tools and strategies in place. However, he emphasized that the government cannot continue to rely solely on the police to handle situations like this. The police are trained to address crime, not to manage full-scale insurgencies or military threats. The general continued to underline the need for military intervention, not just from the Nigerian army, but also from local security outfits. Amotekun, for example, in the southwest, should be given the resources and equipment it needs to properly defend its territory. As he put it, it's not just about fighting these criminals, it's about preventing them from gaining even more ground. He also spoke about his experiences working with local hunters and vigilantes who have been crucial in the fight against bandits. These hunters have been instrumental in tracking down the criminals in the forests, but they too face significant challenges. They lack the military training and resources to confront these criminals directly. Even though they've seen the bandits firsthand, they are often too vulnerable to take action without backup. This highlights the need for greater coordination between the military and local security forces. But even with all these efforts, the retired general raised an important point that can't be ignored: political interference. According to him, there are too many politicians who actively interfere with security operations, slowing down efforts to implement effective strategies. This has been a major roadblock for many security agencies trying to get a handle on the growing insurgency in the country. The general's frustration was palpable as he talked about the government's failure to pay attention to critical research that could help alleviate the country's security issues. There are scholars and experts who have spent years analyzing the security challenges in Africa and Nigeria specifically, yet the government continues to ignore their findings. One such scholar is Professor Tunde Adino, whose book, Africa's Security Challenges in the 21st Century, Power, Principles and Practice in Global Politics, offers valuable insight into how security challenges could be better managed in Nigeria and Africa as a whole. The general's plea was simple. The government needs to stop ignoring the experts and start implementing the strategies that have been proven to work in other parts of the world. He emphasized that security challenges cannot be solved without a multifaceted approach. The government must take responsibility and provide the necessary support for military operations, local security forces, and even the public, who should be given the information they need to stay safe. But it's not just about security. The general also pointed out how economic hardships, unemployment, and food scarcity have all contributed to the rising insecurity in the country. People who are hungry and unemployed are more likely to join armed groups, and without addressing the root causes of these issues, it's nearly impossible to achieve long-term peace. Now, while this story might seem overwhelming, it's important to note that the situation is not hopeless. As the general explained, the solution lies in the hands of the government. The federal and state authorities must work together, putting aside political differences to address the growing threat of banditry and terrorism in Nigeria and Biafra land. The people in these regions deserve peace, and it's up to the leaders to ensure they have the support and security they need. The lack of proper collaboration extends even further, especially when you look at the local security outfits that have been formed to address these issues. Take Amotekun, for instance, which is the security network that was set up in the southwestern part of Nigeria. It was created in response to the growing security threats in that region, where kidnappers and armed bandits had started to terrorize the people. Amotekun was supposed to help bridge the gap between the federal security forces and the local community, providing more tailored responses to the specific needs of the region. But despite their noble intentions, Amotekun has faced severe limitations. Why? Well, the retired general, with his years of experience, pointed out that these local security outfits simply don't have the right tools or equipment to take on heavily armed criminals. Sure, they might have some patrols and local intelligence, but when they come face to face with bandits wielding sophisticated weaponry, they are severely outgunned. The general was clear on this. To defeat these insurgents, these local security networks need automatic weapons, more advanced training, and military-grade equipment that would allow them to properly defend their communities. That's not all, though. Local hunters and vigilantes, who play an essential role in tracking these criminals, also face their own set of challenges. They are on the front lines, hunting down bandits in the vast forests, but without formal military training and resources, they often find themselves outmatched. These hunters, who are truly courageous in their efforts, sometimes feel helpless when faced with powerful criminal organizations that are not only better armed, but also more organized. For instance, one hunter recounted how he encountered a group of bandits in the forest, only to realize that they had planned their attack down to the finest detail, setting up ambushes and traps. The frustration of these local defenders is palpable. These are people who know their land, who have lived and worked there their entire lives. They have the knowledge, the instincts, and the resolve to fight back, but they're simply not equipped for what's become a full-scale insurgency. As a result, these hunters have to rely on the support of military forces to help them counter the armed criminals lurking in the forests. But that support is often delayed, and it can take days, sometimes even weeks, before the proper response teams are sent out to provide aid. Even though the general is deeply concerned about the state of Nigeria's security, he's also hopeful that the right steps can be taken to reverse the growing tide of insecurity. His experience and knowledge have allowed him to develop a clear understanding of what needs to happen, and his message is one of urgency. For the sake of future generations, the government needs to act quickly, decisively, and without hesitation. But, as the general mentioned, part of the problem is the lack of proper communication between those who are on the ground and those in positions of power. People who are directly affected by insecurity, citizens, local leaders, and law enforcement officers, are crying out for help, but their voices are often drowned out by bureaucracy. The security forces and government agencies aren't always on the same page, and that's where things begin to break down. The retired general explained that, in his view, the solution lies in a comprehensive approach that brings together multiple stakeholders: military, local security forces, traditional leaders, and community members. It's not enough to rely solely on the military or just local outfits. We need a coordinated, all-hands-on-deck approach that ensures the criminals don't just disappear into the forests, ready to strike again. This means empowering local communities to take more control over their security, ensuring that military and police forces are properly equipped, and making sure that those at the top aren't just making speeches, but are taking concrete actions to support the efforts on the ground. One thing that the general was adamant about is the need for more resources to be allocated to these security operations. Nigeria has a massive population and a vast landmass, so it's not surprising that banditry and insurgency have grown to the scale they have. But the general believes that with proper funding and training, Nigeria could not only contain this problem, but could eventually eliminate it. However, it's important to note that tackling insurgency and banditry is no small feat. It requires serious financial investments in the security sector, something that the Nigerian government has been hesitant to commit to in the past. Without a substantial budget allocation for the military and local security forces, there's little hope of addressing the root causes of insecurity, let alone winning the battle against the criminals terrorizing the population. Moreover, the problem isn't just about armed bandits and terrorists. It's also about the social and economic factors that contribute to their rise. The general pointed out that poverty, unemployment, and a lack of education all play a role in pushing young people into the hands of these insurgent groups.
I said, go and meet Buhari and ask him.
He didn't hunt them down?
Who are the people doing the kidnapping? Who are the people? They like refer to them as bandits. Who are the people carrying out the banditry?
Are they in our forest around here?
The entire Yoruba land is occupied by them.
As we are talking now?
As I'm talking to you.
General Togun?
Yes.
So when you were in Amotekun, did you try to tackle them?
I did everything I can, but I didn't have cooperation.
Cooperation from who? From Oyo State Governor?
Government, yes.
Oyo State Governor?
Yes.
How?
I can't start saying all these things.
At least give us a hint. What is it that you wanted?
Come. I wanted NCOs from the military, non-commissioned officers, to be recruited, to be put as coordinators in the very local government. I couldn't achieve that.
Why? What was the reason? They were not available to be recruited or what?
They are available. Now, I don't want to talk more on this. I said they are supposed to be zonal commanders. And I wanted retired combatant officers of the rank of captain or major to be zonal commanders of Amatekun in various zones.
You didn't achieve that?
I didn't achieve it. I don't want to delve much in that area.
Are we under threat in the southwest?
The governor the other said that bandits were about 2 kilometers away from where he had his body. The entire Ibarapa, the entire Okeogun, they are saturated.
Wait.
With these people.
They are in the forest. They are with guns?
Of course.
What do they want?
They have said it. That Allah has given them the land of Nigeria as their inheritance. That's why they were.
They are camped in the forest?
They are all over.
You just came from Shaki?
Yeah.
You came, but you still live in Shaki?
I live there.
So why are you still there if they are all over?
They can't come and attack me.
They are not coming out of the forest?
They are coming out and kidnapping people and taking ransom.
Is there anything we can do? Is there anything we can do as a people? What do we do? You are a retired military officer. You've operated within Amotekun. What do we do?
The only thing is that the government, even up to federal level, should look for people who will tell them the truth and they will follow the truth.
What is the truth?
The truth is that there's an invasion.
But we can stop them.
It is only government that can do it.
Can the military bomb them out of the forest?
The military is trying now because they give them the assignment. But security is a military matter anywhere in the world. But in Nigeria, we hand over security to police. Police is only to detect, identify, combat crime and prosecute crime. Crime is not security. I know areas of security that the military handles for American government. I know areas of security that the British military handle for Britain, and the same thing Germany, all over the place. But here they think security is police matter, which is not.
The governor has raised the alarm. You are also raising the alarm again.
What I'm saying now is that, okay, it's only in Nigeria. Everything security. Ask the police. When they are handling internal security problem, when it is beyond their power, what do? They call on army. Is there. That's what happened in Zaria, that they said army went and shot students. The police could no longer handle that problem. So there's a form they feel inviting army, okay, come and take over. And it is not every army officer that is a security man.
You are a combatant officer.
Yes.
And that was why the governor chose you to come in at the time when you came in. Mm-hmm. Would you say you were successful during your time?
I was not, because I was not given the opportunity to operate.
Does Amotekun need automatic weapons?
Of course.
Because you cannot tackle the bandits in the forest.
Listen, I know, come. I know. But it is there in the law establishing Amotekun that the IG, that the Amotekun people, the state government can apply to the IG to approve weapon for Amotekun. But the IG will not do it.
Now we have a Yoruba president. You have complained about Buhari. Buhari's era is gone. This is Tinubu's era. A Yoruba man. Don't you think something will change?
If he gets people who will tell him the truth and give him the advice on how to handle it. That's all.
Have you tried to advise him?
I don't have any connection with him.
Advise him now.
The issue, like I said, they should stop handling security matter only to police.
But soldiers are involved. You were brought in because you are a retired military officer.
Who?
I know, sir, at some point the governor brought in the military to invade the forest. I think that was...
The governor hasn't got power. It's only the president that can involve the military. He's the only commander-in-chief who can say, yes, go and do this.
So Tinubu should tell the military not to move in?
They are already moving.
In the southwest?
No, not in the southwest.
Because they are bombing them in the northwest?
Yes.
And the governor said they are now running to the southwest?
They are not running to the southwest. They are already in the southwest. That's what I'm saying. They are already here.
Did you see them in the forest?
Come. When they kidnap, we are using hunters. They go in. They find that it's a Fulani harassment.
The hunters will see them?
Yes.
And we cannot attack them?
The only thing was that we told those hunters they should be careful. If they kill, who's going to back them up? To say yes.
You have to wait for you to...
All we do is just make sure that when they go to look for them, they run away.
So why do we have Amotekun? What do we need then if it's not...
Amotekun is not independent. Amotekun is stated clearly there Amotekun is to assist police.
So Amotekun cannot invade the forest and get the bandit.
Come. If Amotekun wants to invade, police will take the lead. Because Amotekun is said to assist police. Even if Amotekun arrests, they investigate, they hand over back to police for prosecution.
And that cannot solve the problem.
Exactly. People have to move into the bush, patrol. Police will not do it. And if police fails to do it, Amotekun can't do it. Because it's to assist police. So police will be the one, Amotekun, let us go on patrol.
General Kunle Togun, thank you for featuring on State Affairs.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
State Affairs with Edmond Bilo is live. Stay tuned.
Yeah, that was Brigadier General Kunle Togun, retired, talking about insecurity. We will tackle them. We will deal with them. But if we took knowledge seriously, we would not allow this to fester. And when I talk about knowledge, researchers have done credible works on insecurity in Africa, in Nigeria. Just that our governments don't look into this work to prevent these issues before they happen. If you have read the book Africa's Security Challenges in the 21st Century, Power, Principles and Praxis in Global Politics, written by Tunde Adeniro, you would understand the point I am making. So if you are a government official, are you a politician? Are you a scholar? Are you interested in history and analysis? I recommend Professor Tunde Adeniro's book to you. It's entitled Africa's Security Challenges in the 21st Century, Power, Principles and Praxis in Global Politics. This is a book that will help us solve some of our security challenges in Nigeria and Africa. This book gives a political outlook on Africa's security imperatives. And if you read this book, it can bring about sustainable peace, meaningful democracy, justice, equitable development, and advantageous global presence in a world of unsettling scenarios. Africa's Security Challenges in the 21st Century, a book written by Professor Tunde Adeniro, is a classic. You can get your copy. You can order your copy on udarabooks.com. You can order copies of this book on udarabooks.com. You can also order copies through my WhatsApp number 080-999-1844.
Would think that you betrayed Tinubu.
Yeah, that's their cup of tea.
You know when the news started.
Yeah, some of them even said he was the one feeding me, that he was the one who made me, he was the one who did this, who did that. Look, Tinubu has always known that I'm an independent person.
So when you guys went to him to contribute to the founding of the news,
yes,
what was the deal?
Well, I never knew him until that moment. We got to know him through Chris Mama, a former journalist who was an aide to, who later became an aide to Atiku. So he was the one who introduced us, and he said he loved our stance against Babangida, against Abiola asking us to go and apologize and that kind of, and that. Oh, he would love to invest in us. And like many other investors invested in us, and we became friends. You know, we became allies. You know, I mean, if anything comes up, you call me and seek my opinion. He will tell you that Femi will tell you straight. He will tell you the way it is. In fact, let me give you a little story. I think in year 2000, was it year 2002 or 2001? I went visiting him on January 1 with my two sons. You know, one of them is a lawyer and the other is another accountant. And we just walked in there and he came down and one of the boys just shot his hand to shake him. I said, is that the way you are going to greet me? I'm the governor of Lagos State. And the boy said, and so what? You want to knock my head on the ground because you are governor?
He said that to him?
It was 5, yes. I said, I'm a Babaini. That's his father's son. You know, that kind of, just to tell you the way he perceives me. He knows that I'm not a Katawala. I'm not somebody that koto to people. I will tell you if you are doing well. I will tell you if you are not doing well. I will tell you what you don't like to hear. And I just put out a story in Leaders and Their Men, where, you know, when after he won, the security shows a sobriquet of what is it called now? Superman for him. You know, there's a code they use for leaders when they're guarding you. So when they're talking about you, others will not know they are talking about you. So they give you Superman. And I went to him and I said, no, you can't be a Superman. I said, there is a way it's going to affect your psyche when they begin to see you as Superman. I said, we have to choose something else, you know, because I mean, only God is a Superman.
You told him that?
I told him that, you know, how old was I then? And, you know, and what did
he accept your advice?
Oh, yes. He said, okay, Femi, what do you want them to come? I said, let's pick Eagle. And he accepted.
Eagle.
So,
but now you say lion.
Well, I don't know.
It's not a lion. If I had moved from the lion of Bodilum.
Let me give you another example.
Okay.
I don't know whether you want me to say it, but I think I will say it. For the sake of those who were calling me betrayer or that kind of, you know, this guy just guys who have no sense of history. He called me one day and said I should come to Ikoyi, and I went to him. I said, congratulations to him. I said, what is that? He said he has been called by Yaradua to come and be his finance minister under the government of unity. I said, finance minister under Yaradua, you are AC or ACN, you want to go? Are you not a student of history in this country? Do you not see what happened to Bolaige? I said, you are digging your political grave if you accept that kind of job. And as we're saying that, a colleague of us entered, Rauf Aregbesola, and I said, same thing to him. Aregbesola said, no, Femi is right too. That's not a job to take. And that was how we killed the idea. A businessman came in to join us and said, you know, Femi, Rauf, you guys are too radical. This thing will benefit all of us. I said, no, we are not looking for that kind of benefit. We are looking for this man's survivor. He's our leader. Our dream for him is bigger than going to be a minister in the Yaradua's government. 9 months down the line, they will arrest him and try him, and they will finish him off the way they did to Bolaige, Uncle Bolaige.
So your dream for him at that time was what? Yeah,
it was, you know, that we wanted a leader. We all came around him, supplying him with ideas, helping him with his vision and everything. And, you know, I admire him for, you know, accepting our advice in those days.
It seems both of you have come a long way.
We have. So we cannot. We cannot quarrel. It's not about quarrel. It's about at a point in time, our vision, you know, taking different routes. That's all. It's not a personal thing. I'm just coming in from Lagos. I went to attend the wedding of Bayo Onanuga's daughter. Bayo Onanuga is the chief media person to Tinubu now.
And that's your man.
And that's my man. I was best man at his wedding. So people were seeing me and they were saying, we never knew you were going to be here. Yeah, thank you for coming. I said, what do you think? You think we were boxing each other?
It's almost on every page it's here. Yeah, Bayo Onanuga.
Yeah, you know. So it's not personal. Nothing about that is personal. For me, loyalty to friendship, you know, it's on a lesser scale to loyalty to country. Whatever I have to do that will uplift 200 million Nigerians, that will make Nigeria respected in the Committee of Nations, that will make us live a good life, I can sacrifice my family for that. Of course, that was exactly what I did when I fought Abacha. I sacrificed my family. My wife, I was newly married, and I was running out of the country, coming back, going to jail, being arrested. My wife was all over the town. That is a sacrifice. My children were young. Again, why did I do that? I could have lived a much more comfortable life, you know, going around collecting money from people, you know, back.
Invaders.
And what did the military say we should do with them? We are to hunt them down like rabbits and eliminate them. I said, go and meet Buhari and ask him.
He didn't hunt them down?
Who are the people doing the kidnapping? Who are the people? They like refer to them as bandits. Who are the people carrying out the banditry?
Are they in our forests around here?
The entire Yoruba land is occupied by them.
As we are talking now?
As I'm talking to you.
General Togun?
Yes.
State Affairs with Edmond Bilo is live.
Was Buhari against Tinubu?
He didn't tell me so, because I put many questions to him.
You asked Buhari?
Oh yeah, many questions.
What were those questions?
One, he wanted me to see that he was not the one who instigated Osibajo to contest against Tinubu. And he made it clear. He said in his own culture, when his mentor is interested in one position, you don't contest with him. But when Osibajo came, he was surprised and he only wished him well.
Tinubu was Osibajo's mentor.
Oh, that's the way Buhari put it to me.
State Affairs with Edmond Bilo is live.
Are we under threat in the southwest?
We are still there. The governor the other said that bandits were about 2 kilometers away from where he had his body. The entire Ibarapa, the entire Okogun, they are saturated.
Wait.
With these people.
They are in the forest. They are with guns?
Of course.
What do they want?
They have said it. That Allah has given them the land of Nigeria as their inheritance.
State Affairs with Edmond Bilo is live.
Have you heard people screaming Ibinkpami?
Come to my compound here, I will give you plenty of tomato, plenty of things to,
There's hunger in the land.
If you are lazy, if you are in Nigeria.
There's hunger in the land.
If you are lazy in Nigeria, a corn, just a seed of corn, put it on soil. In under 3 months, you have about 1,000 seeds. Nigeria, except lazy people.
Lazy people?
Yes. In Nigeria.
State Affairs with Edmond Bilo is live.
You are towing the Buhari line. The Buhari called Nigerian youths lazy.
Honestly, what I mean is that he who does not work shall not eat.
They are working. There's no even job.
Oh.
There's unemployment. Inflation is more than 30%. Chief Akonde.
Look, come to my place in Ila. I will take you to my farm. I harvest.
Should I announce to the world that we should move to a loud or to come and eat from your farm?
I only feed myself. I try to feed myself. Go round my house, this one. Go round. You will see my vegetables. I eat from the compound here. I don't go out.
State Affairs with Edmond Bilo is live.
Bola Ige encouraged you to be governor of Osun State, right?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
You were not even interested?
No.
You are never interested?
Because I didn't see what I was going to gain other than service at the direction my leadership wanted.
But he kept persuading you to move in.
Yes, he did.
And you moved in.
Oh yes. Oh, it is in obedience to his instruction that I contested governorship. Honestly, and he spent all the money that made me the governor.
He spent all the money.
Kobo.
You didn't spend 1 kobo.
1 kobo.
Or you didn't have money?
I didn't have, and I told him.
Chief Bisakon, I thought you were very rich.
I'm a very poor person.
You are no longer poor, right?
I struggle.
You are no longer poor.
I'm not rich, all the same. I'm not rich.
State Affairs with Edmond Bilo is live.
The Chief Bisia Kunle interview on state affairs.
Insecurity in Nigeria. How can we stop it? I believe electrification is part of security in Nigeria. And we don't have security to pay. In Old generally, 2 is not up to 7 days. In an Okada biker was cruel because the place was so dark. When are we moving up? Look at what is happening in Burkina Faso. It's not up to 2 years. When how he got the power, he has tried to stop the bandits, introduce the drone to tackle the insecurity in the country. Is it not the electricity we are going to use?
Thank you.
To produce all this? Where are we going?
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you for calling the radio station. Who is next? The radio man is here. Good morning.
Edmund.
I greet you.
Let me first of all say Happy New Year.
Baba, that's you. Where have you been?
You see me, I like the Chief Sulaiman Oladipo.
Good to hear your voice again.
Thank you. Well done. Anytime you talk security, it's like you have given me an injection. And I always listen to talk. You see, I've been talking here, and I'm happy I successfully gave them to your mind. You see, I'm happy you got Brigadier General Togo. But one thing, you see, the gentleman refused to mention was what I always mention to Nigerians and to anybody in government, that the Nigerian government in the past, they have spent a lot of money training soldiers who wanted to leave the army security. They spend a lot in training. I'm one of the beneficiaries. I told you sometimes ago that because of my age that I could not go out to do arm carrying, to fight banditry, to fight armed robbers, to fight. Look, you see, Brigadier General Togo knows what I am talking. That, and I'm happy when he said he wanted zonal commanders in Amateku to be captain and major upward. You see, the government, what the government has at its disposal is sufficient for them to fight any kind, be it armed robbery or whatever. You see, the people trained along with me have not, except one who is a very close friend of mine, went into security, and some companies enjoyed it. We live together right here in Ibadan. The company he worked with enjoyed him, and they regretted living in service. Permit me not to mention him. I have a lot of things at my disposal to show people that government train people to fight who fight crime, but we didn't want to make use of them. Edmund, are you listening to me?
You.
Hello?
Yes, Baba, I'm listening
You
to
are still
you.
hearing me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Yes, thank you. Yes. In the southwest here, I always suggest that the traditional rulers are very, very, they are the nearest to fight crime at the grassroots. Violence. I'm happy in your state here we have upgraded some violence. They are now others, and it could be useful.
Okay, Baba, you have to round off now.
I'm rounding up. I want to summarize what I have said. Let the government use ex-military men, those who are still younger. I'm sure the government has not stopped training security personnel who soldiers that are leaving the army into the outside world. They should use them, those who are properly trained. See, the police can only prosecute. They are not in charge. It is only soldiers that can.
Thank you.
Look, right here in my community here.
I'll have to
while I
let
was
you go.
younger.
Baba, I have to let you go now. I have an interview. Good morning. Yes, Chukwuemeka Enekwechi has written a book, Philosophy of African Liberation, Dismantling the Tripod Stand of Bondage in Africa. That is Chief Bolaniwa there. I had to let him go because I have an interview now. Yes, he writes in this book that due to absence of an organic socio-political evolution or consented union, the constituent groups in many African countries have never agreed or been given a chance to agree on their union, noble vision, or national purpose. So they always suspect, fight, and hinder one another. Chukwuemeka Enekwechi, it's good to have you on State Affairs.
Thank you so much.
You have written a work, Philosophy of African Liberation. What do you want?
Thank you so much, Edmondo Bilo, for this wonderful opportunity to be on this stage with you. The book Philosophy of African Liberation is one of a series of researches that has been going on since 2013. And in this process, we've written more than 200 articles and about 4 different books. Now, about the book Philosophy of African Liberation, it is to be known clearly that every society begins with a philosophy. Every society is built on a philosophy. You can call it philosophy, some people call it ideology. And if you understand the ideology upon which a society is built, then every other thing on it will begin to make sense. But when people do not understand the philosophy or the ideology upon which their society is built, they will keep on bumping into each other. The Bible said, I think it is in Amos 3:3, 2 cannot walk unless they agree. If 2 cannot walk unless they agree, more than 250 ethnic groups or 500 different languages cannot work unless they agree on a common philosophy. So that is why I went deep to research what is the ideology behind Nigeria's formation and the union, and also all the other African countries.
What did you discover?
What I discovered is that we are not the ones that created our philosophy. The philosophy is what I call philosophy of favorite slaves by the colonial masters. So the philosophy of favorite slave is the belief that Africans are naturally inferior and will always depend on foreign intervention for survival, and that the 4 institutions of public regulation must be manned by the most Europeanized Africans. These 4 institutions of public regulation are government, religion, academia, and mass media. So when these 4 institutions of public regulation are manned by most Europeanized Africans, then they can sustain the intervention of the foreigners, colonialists, for say. So with this ideology at the background, we will remain unproductive, number one, because in this book, the triple stand of freedom of bondage is the thing that we have to dismantle. And this triple stand of bondage is, 1, imposed nationhood. In the whole of Africa, especially in Nigeria, the most ripe case, all the ethnic communities and kingdoms were joined together without consent. In fact, it's like people that are held together at gunpoint. If you try to leave, they shoot you. That is number 1. Number 2 is land expropriation law. When in 1885, there was this Berlin conference where the Europeans, they brought the map of Africa and then shared it to themselves, the land.
Yeah.
And after they shared the land on the map, many of them haven't been to the land. After they shared it, then they came to enforce it with guns. So after they came to enforce this land law with guns, it implied that all the lands now belonged to the colonial masters, to the Europeans. And when they were leaving, they transferred this same land expropriation law to the government, many of whom were trained under them to continue the system of human and natural resource extraction. So it is an extractive philosophy that the Europeans brought here. Then the third one is contest for foreign products. Human beings are beings of conflict. We always conflict each other. No matter what you get today, tomorrow you want another. So humans can use this conflict energy positively or negatively. For instance, see Ronaldo and Lionel Messi, both of them championed the world football for about 15 years because they were competing on something, and something they were competing on was something positive. So whenever see Ronaldo could try to be lazy, he will remember that Messi is practicing more, so he begins to practice more. Now, if someone had shifted their purpose of conflict or their rivalry to killing each other, then they would not have grown to the extent that we know them. So conflict can be either positive or negative. The conflict that the Europeans brought here is conflict of contest for foreign products for consumption, instead of contest for production, for socio-industrial productivity and influence. So these are the triple stand of bondage that I illustrated in this particular book: imposed nationhood, land expropriation law, and contest for foreign products.
So by implication, African states are yet to be liberated.
Completely. They are not liberated because the philosophy at the background is still there. The philosophy of the favorite slaves, they are still there.
Obviously, you are on a mission.
Yes.
What's your mission?
The mission is to liberate Africa by changing the philosophy that is reigning right now to a new philosophy. And that is the philosophy I called ideology of intercultural liberty. It is one of my books, second book actually after this one. It is ideology of intercultural liberty. It is the belief that there is something great in every community and kingdom, and so they all deserve the liberty to own, modify, and use their cultural, human, and natural resources to prosper and to manifest their greatness to their communities, their nation, continent, and the world. And that the four institutions of public regulation, which are government, religion, academia, and mass media, are only made to support these communities and their members to manifest their greatness. So when these four institutions are at the service of communities and their members, the communities grow. But when the four institutions are imposed on communities and their members, the communities will continue to go down, decline, and die.
So as it presently stands, these institutions are imposed,
yes,
on the people.
Yes, 100%. The government in Nigeria and Africa was not created by the people. Now, when people talk about government, they talk about democracy and dictatorship. The difference between democracy and dictatorship is that democracy is developed from consent of the people. The laws in a democratic setting are developed from the consent of the people upon whom they will be enforced. But in a dictatorship, the government is imposed after conquering the people, and then the law they put there do not come from the consent of the people. They are imposed irrespective of the interest of the people.
So, is Nigeria a democracy?
Not yet. It is what I call a rotational dictatorship. It's rotating. You be the dictator today, I be the dictator tomorrow, maybe Obasanjo and Buhari. It's just rotating dictatorship. The consent of the people upon whom the system will work has not come.
So consent of the people must come from a liberated people.
Thank you. Exactly. That is the idea. That a people who are economically and politically liberated have to come together around one ideology, around one purpose, because an ideology is a goal, it's a story. So a story of where we are going to, a story of our purpose, a story of what we want to give to the world, because your ideology is also, for it to be growing, you have to be able to replicate it. So it has to be something we are going to give to the world. And that's why I'm bringing in this ideology of intercultural liberty to cut across.
Ideology of intercultural liberty.
Yes.
How does that ideology solve the ethnic question?
Good. The ethnic question is this. There is no country right now, a big country that you know, that is just one ethnicity. It's about different people. After a long time of relating together, they just come and say, let's become one. Now, how the ideology solves the ethnic problem is that it brings about private property rights. It's what makes people fight is land and the resources in it. That's one of the major things that make people fight. Now, when from the definition of the intercultural liberty as the belief that there is something great in every community and culture. There is something great in every community and culture. So they deserve the liberty to own, modify, and use their own. So with this liberty for people to own their own, then they can begin to look inwards to see what can we develop from ourselves, what can we develop from our land, from our own intellect, from all the resources that God has given us. How can we develop it? And then partner with other people, collaborate with other people, as long as that respect for their own resources are there.
You know, in recent time, I've not read a work that so impressed me, especially coming from a young generation, your generation. I must commend you for this work.
Thank you so very much.
You know why reading it? You see, I've been smiling while you've been talking. Because I said, okay, when I read your work,
yes,
there's this energy that it resonated with me.
Thank you.
I felt the future is safe. I thought young persons have lost it.
Uh-huh.
But here is a young Nigerian who writes deep philosophical thought on politics and development. The reason I'm recommending this book to you, Philosophy of African Liberation, Dismantling the Tripod Stand of Bondage in Africa, written by Chukwuwike Enekwechi. You can see the book. Yes, this is philosophy, African philosophy. You didn't just write a book, you have launched a movement.
Yes.
Can you tell me about your movement?
Thank you so much. So the movement is Restart Niger. It actually began in the University of Ibadan when I went there for my master's in 2016. So I was admitted to study biomedical ethics at the University College Hospital, UCH, at the Department of Surgery. So while there, I began the thought came to me to get a group of people who would do the research that I already began earlier. So I got a group of scholars, young students, then who supported in the research that eventually came into this and other books. So this group of scholars, we worked together till July last year. After we have developed the ideology of intercultural liberty, now we say it is time to bring it out to the people. So right now what we are doing is to get other youths from different states to start disseminating this ideology of intercultural liberty to the communities in preparation for a Restart National Conference.
That's a big one.
Yes, it is a big one. A very
Are you a
big
dreamer?
One. Oh my God, yes I am.
I like those who dream.
Yes I am.
You know, the first time you explained it, I went to him, I said, see a dreamer before me.
Thank you so much.
And keep dreaming.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, we've just started a conversation. This is like an intro.
Yes.
So soon we'll begin to take this work page
by page.
Page by page.
Okay.
To send the message we've just started.
Thank you so much.
You will be back again. Because
yes.
I want us to study this work
Thank you.
on the show. Because it's a class of history, politics, and power.
Yes.
So when next I bring you again, I'll tell you we are dealing with page 2 to 10.
be sure I'll be ready. In fact, as it is now, there's this analogy we use about someone who ate garlic, and after eating garlic, it's the smelling from all his body. I think the knowledge or idea of Restart Niger is smelling from my body. That's whatever. When I come here, I will do it very well.
Tripod stand of bondage in Africa. Philosophy of African liberation, dismantling the tripod stand of bondage in Africa, written by Chukwuike Enekwechi. Another book I'm recommending to you is The Foundations of Nigeria. The Foundations of Nigeria. You can see it's a big book. The Foundations of Nigeria, edited by Adebayo Oyebade. That is The Foundation of Nigeria. It's a book you should read. Get your copy on Uda.
Who are the people doing the kidnapping? Who are the people? They refer to them as bandits. Who are the people carrying out the banditry?
Are they in our forests around here?
The entire Yoruba land is occupied by them.
As we are talking now?
As I'm talking to you.
General Togun?
Yes.
State Affairs with Edmondo Below is live.
Are we under threat in the southwest?
We are severe. The governor the other said that bandits were about 2 kilometers away from where he had his birthday. The entire Ibarapa, the entire Okeogun, they are saturated.
Wait.
With these people.
They are in the forest. They are with guns?
Of course.
What do they want?
They have said it. That Allah has given them the land of Nigeria as their inheritance.
State Affairs with Edmondo Below is live.
Abeza Chaso Bina is on X. He says redemption of the mind from the frustration of poverty, ignorance, and injustice precedes the redemption of the state. The conflicts you see in the society are projections of the mind. Guns should be the last option. Tinubu should focus on this and forget about petty politics. That is Abeza Chaso Bina. I can see the exclusive ride on X. He says I'm in class, beauty on radio. Listening from Ekboma, Edo State. Ekboma. Hey. Hi Sujeme. Emado. Ekboma. Hey. There you have Bruce Ali University. Good to have you listening from that angle. D on X says, I'm in class already, radio man. Thank you. I know you are in class. Happy to have you in class. Listening from Glasgow. He's listening from Glasgow, Scotland. Wow. Big Pedro is in class. He says, good morning. I'm in class this morning. Always good to be in class. Your YouTube page has been feeding me with history and quality interview. You see, by the time I will upload the BC Akonde interview, you know what Baba BC Akonde did? Both of us were just trekking gently along history lane. We were strolling, and Baba BC Akonde was telling me the story of time. Hey, just wait for that interview. It will be uploaded on my YouTube channel soon. So if you've not subscribed to Edmondo Bilo on YouTube, please do that now. You see the General Kunle Togun interview. The Amoteku was not the substance of my interview with Kunle Togun. You know, Kunle Togun was that dreaded Deputy Director General of the State Security Service under I. Ibrahim Babangida. You remember? I'm talking about Colonel Kunle Togun, the dreaded Deputy Director General of the SSS in Babangida's time. Kunle Togun on different occasions interviewed Delegiwa, the journalist that was killed through a parcel bomb in 1986. I asked Kunle Togun what happened. Because some would say, oh, go and ask Kunle Togun what happened to Delegiwa. Kunle Togun has written a book on Delegiwa. It's an interview you should not miss. You know, it goes into history, intrigues, and politics. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay? Alright. There is another interview we'll be uploading on that YouTube channel soon. Fumilayo Ransom Kuti, the lioness of Lishabi. Have you heard the story of that woman? Fela's mommy. Fela's mommy. Most of us know her as Fela's mommy. She's more than that. She's more than Fela. That interview will be uploaded. Fumilayo Ransom Kuti will be uploaded soon. It is the next interview we are uploading on the YouTube channel. Are you on X? Some of the interviews are on X, on Instagram. So follow me on all social media platforms. On TikTok, we are streaming on TikTok. So if you are on TikTok, you also have the opportunity to listen to those interviews. And now let me tell you something. Village Square is almost back, but you can only listen to it.
This is the end of our news update. Please click the icon on the top right corner of your screen to watch my next video. You will enjoy it. I will see you again in my next update. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye for now.